Please continue to hold for our next available agent.
I was very, very relaxed to the point where my legs started falling asleep, and Ricky came in and like didn't even break a smile.
Hey,
Your black hole works?
my black hole's working.
Finally I got mine updated. Does that mean you have buttons?
Nah, I got no buttons.
We did this backwards. I got all these buttons, but they don't go anywhere.
Hey.
Just off into the black hole.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
How's your Boxing Day?
What's that?
That's a British thing. Black Friday?
What's that?
No way. You know what black? I mean, I guess it's American, but I figured it's the day after Thanksgiving.
No.
Oh, wait, I think we talked about this before.
Boxing Day. Boxing Day is after Christmas.
Like, oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh, wrong there. I thought it was the same day. Well, that's fun.
Black Friday is that day where you buy lasers and things.
Black Friday is today.
You don't need.
I GPT'd it for you. Boxing Day is December 26th, British and polite. Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving, American and unhinged.
That might have been our election day, actually, this year. That was Black Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. How's yours?
Good. We had a very small, we could have had Thanksgiving early with some family that was visiting like 2 weeks ago. And so Aaron and I and our little one had we actually had Thanksgiving while he was napping, which felt kind of bad, but it was like, this is so calm. All the food's done. He's asleep. So I guess we'll just eat now. And afterwards I was like, that felt kind of wrong.
Date night. Awesome.
So it's just been a chill day today.
Lovely.
What's up with you?
Saturday morning here. I'm waking up, but feeling good. And I'm about to drive over to Ballarat to visit the Sawdust Bureau workshop. Brian of Sawdust Bureau. He's got a new shop and has a monster table that his client is hounding him to be finished by Christmas, and has just had some nasty health complications. So I'm going to go over and give him a hand
Cool.
for the day. Get on the tools, do something useful. So yeah, it'll be fun.
For the listener, I am looking at Ballarat on Google, and they have a castle apparently, which looks fun.
They do. I think it just gets used for raves and children's parties these days.
Oh, perfect.
There is a castle.
As it always was.
Exactly.
Why else do you have a castle? You know? Gotta have the beat drop.
That's right. But no, I'm good. We've had a good week here. It's busy. I felt like it feels like it's been more than a week since we last chatted.
Yeah. True.
Like a lot seems to have occurred in those 7 days. But no, it's been good. I ran a very informal. I think I woke up Friday morning last week and I was like, right, guess I better get some sales in. And just rolled out a very impromptu little discount code sale thing on the website. Put a couple of Instagram posts up and seemed to capture people's attention, and got really strong really strong weekend of sales. Well, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I'm against the Black Friday thing in general, and I made a point of sort of this being closing orders for the year for us. But it's running in this month. I think like any sort of promotion or sale running in this month does exactly the same thing, really. So
yeah, I've thought about that this week too. Like as
know.
I'm watching everybody else now start their Black Friday sales, and I was like, no, we started our end of year upgrade sale earlier than this, so it's not the same. Then I sat there and thought about it. I was like, damn it, this is the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how I feel about that, but it was good. we took on a lot of orders, and the best thing about it is that the vast majority of them were all in Melbourne and sort of inner northern suburbs of Melbourne, which is closest to us. And so we're able to combine deliveries. So whilst we were discounting, we'll be able to maybe
Recoup.
2 runs to Melbourne, load up the van and recoup a bunch of those shipping costs, which would be sweet. Make it worthwhile, basically.
Do you use like one of those cool, like I did this is like the nerdery that I love. It's like I wish I had a business like this sometimes where I helped a friend who had an orchard deliver fruit like the second year I was doing my own business solo. I didn't have a ton of work and it was in Seattle. So we would drive the fruit over the mountain range and then deliver it to people in the Seattle area. And I had found this, like, I was like the techie friend that helped him. And I found this like delivery app that would optimize your route. And it was so like delightful to like put in all the orders and it would go, no, you need to take this path. You have anything like that?
AI delivery optimizer. No, that's
not
me.
Then.
Surely. How else was it doing it?
It wasn't
Algorithm.
AI. It was like
Good.
shortest distances between
Shortest
points,
distance. I do it manually. I put all the destinations in Google Maps and I drag them around until I get the best looking picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, it went well. We did our first delivery yesterday and I made a new view in Airtable actually to help me like coordinate the delivery. It's fun when you realize that you've got all the data you need. You just need to spin up a new view with a few new filters.
Right.
And then I applied one new field that just let me plug in random numbers to ascertain the order of the day. So I was like, I think this one's probably first and that one's probably somewhere in the middle. And
Yeah.
then like infill those numbers until it auto sorted into the order. I was like, looks good. Let's go.
Right. I'm
Print it
remembering
out.
other cool features that thing had. We didn't pay for it as far as I remember, but you could say like, oh, it closes at this time or it opens at this time. So it would sort your day better by, fun
Nice.
stuff.
Logistics. Yeah. So I just shared that Airtable link directly with Dwin, who was driving, and yeah. Winner.
Then do they check off they have a way to like, or they just go to the next one?
No, we didn't do that, but that would be fun.
Two into this. Sorry.
Little checkpoints. No, I like it. Checkboxes next time. So yeah, all of that sort of culminated in what was a pretty busy week with a lot of orders. Like I haven't seen Airtable looking that full for a week's orders for a while. But yeah, the team smashed it out and got a lot done. And yeah, cool.
Very nice.
Pretty straightforward.
So you got, I saw your language and I don't want to spoil your demand strategy, but do you actually fill up like capacity
Did we?
and then like have to like update your ETA kind of thing? Is that how you do it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. So sort of filled, not entirely filled, but sort of went a long way towards filling up what, we've got 3 weeks of production left now.
Right.
And I need this weekend, I need to just have a look at that and cast some, do some projections on like, is it actually full or like, yeah. Because I always need to leave a little bit of room for unknowns or web orders that sneak in at the last minute or something. But yeah, I think we're pretty much full until the end of the year.
Good news.
And we had a lot of clip crate orders as part of that come in during that sale as we ran out of clips. We ordered them about every 18 months, it turns out, in 10,000 at a time. So we'd only just ordered like a few days prior because we'd missed the Kanban tag a little bit, left it a little bit late on the reorder. And so we had 10,000 clips that were 2 weeks away probably. And so I was updating customers after the weekend saying, look, thanks. We had an unprecedented response and we're probably not going to be able to ship your order until blah, blah, blah. And then our spring manufacturer I asked. I was like, I may as well ask the question. So I sent them an email, and they were like, yeah, I reckon we'll get this done by the end of the week.
Wow.
And then, sure enough, pallet of clips turned up on Thursday, even. Amazing.
Very cool.
Amazingly quick turnaround. Have you seen those spring manufacturing machines in action?
I think I know what you're talking about. Like, spring manufacturer went pretty viral on TikTok. And they're like little like pins, and it comes out and it pushes it, right? With little fingers.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like that. Awesome things.
Right. Cool. So do you have like a video of yours being made?
No, I wish I did.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Before I turned off the Shopify chat box, actually, I had an inquiry from someone wanting to buy some of the clips, because we do sell them as hardware on our website.
Yeah.
I had an inquiry come through of like about the clips, and I said, oh yeah, here's the link, to the stuff on the website. You can purchase them and use them in your own projects and stuff. And then the response was like, oh no, I want lots, and I want them at a cheaper rate. Can you just give me the contact in China? I was like,
Absolutely not.
I stopped and I thought about that one, and then I crafted a detailed email saying they're made in Melbourne, and we spent years developing this little thing.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Follow me around back. I'll show you where you can find those spring clams.
So yeah, fun times. That email address gets added to the legal watch list.
I don't think this is extreme by any means, but I get 10 inquiries through different methods a week on people trying to. And this started back when I started my first laptop stand, and we were on Kickstarter in 2011. I get people, hey, do you need mold making in China? Do you want plastic injection parts making?
Yeah,
and it's like, now it's different things. It's like I get shipping offers, and I guess it's just freight forwarders, but I get like, do you need a solution to get stuff from Japan to the United States? And I'm like, no, why would you? You're just guessing?
Yeah. Casting the net wide. Yeah, I get a lot of those, but they never feel pointed. Or then about the it's like they're pulling keywords off the website of like plywood. Right. Oh, these people use plywood. Great. So
right. You're getting offered
like
lifts of plywood too, right?
Yeah.
Right. I get carbide cutters. I get tool holder makers, collet makers, all the stuff. Yeah, they started to find us. Week's been good. Sales have also been good, which is nice. Good. I can't really say it's related to running a small sale or not. It's just Monday. People just bought probably triple the amount of our normal daily sales, and it was just like, all right, cool. Usually this week is like kind of a crapshoot, whether or not people are paying any attention, because it's like holidays are going to happen. Basically, people check out on Wednesday because it's always a Thursday, Thanksgiving. They don't come back on Friday. And then if you send anything this week, this is why I got away from it in the first place, was like, if you send anything this week, you got to fight 10 times more incoming marketing emails and Instagram posts, and people are less focused. And like in their normal lives, regardless of the new influx of emails. Surprisingly, for putting almost no effort in, it has gone well, which is nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Low effort, go nice is good.
Right.
We like that.
Right. It's a flow state, right?
Something's flowing. And it's not the heater under my desk.
Wish I had a little symbol to play. I can do this.
I think it's
only
just revert
to
analog instruments. Yeah. Analog effects. Foley Studio. Cool. So the printers are running hot then?
That's part of the reason I came in today, other than to chat with you, was we actually haven't had a ton of printable orders. Well, I'm just preparing. We put out the BT30 tool tag tower. And so we haven't sold a ton of BT30 tags prior. And I think it's all like we sell majority Cat 40 stuff because we have the matching set of those things. And then we've been stocking up on BT30 because I'm just like waiting for people to get to that moment of like, I would like to organize. And then they basically like make a big order usually. We've been trying to keep that running. I'm tempted to bring one home over the weekend because it's going to get done in 3 hours and then sits there, you know, like I need a swapping robot.
Swapping
Get stuff off the
robot.
printer. Get stuff off the printer.
Little arms. That'd be nice.
Other than that, we had a weird week where we were like out of town for my wife's work. We stayed with some family, and in that trip of driving, I listened to a lot of the book I mentioned, The Perfectionist, or what was the other name you found it under?
I couldn't, like after we chatted about it, I couldn't find it
Yeah.
in audio book form anywhere, and I searched. And then I was like, I found a YouTube video of what's his face who wrote it. His name I still can't remember.
I don't remember it all. Yeah. Let me see.
Sorry, elegant English
guy.
gentleman whose name I can't remember.
Simon Winchester.
There you go. I found a YouTube video of Simon Winchester sort of at some event, sort of doing a 1 hour long talk about the book, contents of the book. So it's sort of, and I started watching that. And then I think at the start of that video, he mentioned something about the publishers refusing the name in certain parts of the world. And then he says specifically, in Australia and blah, 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 it's called Exactly. So I searched Exactly, and there it was.
It's a pretty poor, option for a name compared to, they really struggle with that. Interesting. Well, good to know.
So yeah, I am reading the same book, but it's called Exactly. And I'm struggling to put it down.
Yeah, so somebody else, I posted it on the Instagram, and somebody else, maybe the person that recommended it, I haven't looked back to see who. There's 2 or 3 people that recommended it, and seems to be a hot book for everybody. I didn't expect to. I thought it would be really dry. I mean, it is historical, but there's a lot of anecdotal things. I was telling Aaron a little bit about it. It's basically all of innovation in the world is from guns and machining. Unfortunately, it's guns. And
yeah, the first quarter
ships.
of the book, I was a bit like, oh, guns. Is this all we are as a species? It's just
Beer and
trying
guns.
to find better ways of killing each other. And yeah, certainly some of that early stuff. I'm about halfway through, I think. Ish.
I'm
Something like
probably
that.
close to the end, actually. I might have a couple
I can't
hours
tell.
left.
That's the weird thing about audiobooks, is sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Get a sense of where you are in the book. Yeah, I'm about halfway through. But yeah, currently on the jet engine chapter and very much enjoying it.
Jet engine
As
is wild.
Pretty cool.
Wild.
12 to 15-year-old kid, I was pretty obsessed with airplanes and thought I was going to build one in my backyard. And this sort of stuff's up my alley.
I've seen up close at the Boeing factory, I don't know what generation, but a fairly recent cutaway jet engine near Seattle, and had no appreciation. This is before I started the CNC business. I had no appreciation for what I'm hearing in the book of even what they developed in the 80s, basically, with these cooling channels coming through the front into the center column so that they form a protective barrier around each super thin.
Ooh.
Oh, you didn't get there?
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, not
Spoiler.
there. Spoiler.
Just wild technology with tiny little holes. And I think where I'm at in the book, they're just starting to talk about, I don't know, maybe halfway through, he talks about somebody starts to make machines that make machines, or machines that make other things, which we've come to call machine tools, or CNC has, been the prefix to machine tool. But that's kind of the next step as you're walking through the book of people made stuff by hand, and then it was somebody made a machine to make other things, and then I think I'm just now getting to CNC controlled devices, and it's towards the end of the book, but really fascinating, getting into human error being too much of a factor at this point and later on in the book. And so I don't know if you're interested at all, and I don't know, I would say how machining progressed and the precision of that. This is definitely a very good book for that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and he's sort of, you made this point. It's it borders on sort of colonial. Aren't the Brits amazing? sort of a little bit. You know, he's a Rolls Royce driving, very well educated British writer. He's written heaps of books, like 30, 40 books or something.
I'd say that that keeps happening. My lights keep popping on.
Time to go home, Justin.
Got to get my
House
sticky
lights are
note
on.
over the motion sensor better. He gets a Rolls Royce, Rolls-Royce, which I did not recognize was a thing, because he was a writer, and they basically saw a marketing opportunity for him, so he got to drive it around for a couple months. But I don't think he owns any, right?
No, true. I don't think
Yeah.
he owns one. But yeah, it does sort of, there's sort of, you know, colonial British vibes
Oh,
a little
right.
bit. And
Oh, for sure. Like my gut feeling towards the first third of the book, I messaged you. I was like, I'm getting this feeling like he just is only aware of things in British in the Western world that were developed. Like it's usually like America or the Brits coming up with some development in. He does kind of start to talk about parallel tracks of development of like how guns were bored accurately, how two people were kind of doing a parallel thing in the world, and one person hadn't developed it first. But I said to Jem, I was like, does he just not know about any of Asia? Like, I don't understand. There's no way that Asia didn't develop any, like Japan is a powerhouse in manufacturing. They weren't just like sitting around doing nothing, right? Like,
yeah, at the halfway through the book, there's a distinct lack of any attention to the East, which is interesting. I'm not sure what that's about. Whether it's just his, you know, I guess, you know,
his
it's
focus,
his book.
I guess.
It's his focus, what he's researched, that's fine.
Yeah.
But given the sort of historical context of it, it does surprise me a little bit that there's
Yeah.
no mention of that. But, you know, because I believe the Chinese were making cannons, you know,
Oh, right.
1,000 years ago almost.
I know, right?
So, yeah, anyway. So far, so good. It's been fascinating. And what else was I going to say? Oh, it reminds the colonial thing reminds me a little bit of this excellent podcast by an Australian journalist called "Stuff the British Stole," which is very entertaining and just fascinating look at sort of all the things that Britain has sort of stolen,
Right.
borrowed, stolen, acquired from different cultures around the world,
Yep.
and called their own or kept under wraps. Anyway, I'll
Yep.
pop the link in the show notes, but it's good.
Mm-hmm. The other thing we both wrote down about the book was, and I while it was happening in the car, I was like, I got to write this down. So I texted the podcast and I said, using a
Nice.
sewing machine as the first grinder for precision gauge blocks. This guy that developed, was he, I don't remember, Norwegian?
Swedish, I think.
Swedish, developed, and why they call him Joe Blocks was his name was something like Jorgensen or something like that. And so they called him Joe Blocks because he created them. And he made one of the first grinders to his wife's sewing machine, which I was just thinking, like, how is that accurate enough? Like, does that work? Like, how do you just turn the dial a little bit to go, like, oh, I made it, you know, 0.5 millimeter too tall on accident.
Yeah, I can't quite picture how you turn a sewing machine into a grinder for gauge blocks, but yeah, it's fascinating. That bit definitely captured my attention. Like, I have a gauge block set, and I've used it a little bit, and it's cool. I've always been sort of really impressed when I ever have to sort of stack up some dimensions. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is really clever. But I haven't thought much more about it.
Like-
Yeah, amazing to hear about the history of them.
Right. I'm using one to like usually make like some type of offset in the mill precisely
yeah.
or
Yeah.
something like that. But I'm sure I just don't even know how to use them well enough to be dangerous with them, I guess. I didn't write it down. I think the other thing that I have thought about just endlessly, and I don't know I should have written down the time frame, but it's earlier in the book when he's talking about the first machine to make other things basically was the pulley system. What do they call those? Block and tackle for the ships.
Ah, yeah.
So like the British needed 130,000, I I don't know the right word, pulleys, basically the stuff that you put a rope through and pull sails up and down on a ship. And supposedly some ships needed 1,300 of these and they'd get replaced all the time. And they were making them by hand really inaccurately and slowly. And it was like, they would just like mass enlist people to make them to keep up with the war efforts. And so some guy came up with an invention that took like, I want to say it was 43 separate machines, something like that, to create this larger holistic machine that could make 130,000 with 10 people. And on one side, they would put in basically a tree, as he describes it, and probably some metal somewhere in the process. And on the other side of all these steps, it would come out as a finished pulley block, which is just amazing. And there's, I don't know if you looked, there's photos online of the machine. It's like in the British Museum. I haven't gotten a whole picture of it in my head, but like they're really well made. And there's a lot of detail into like the company, the young guy that created basically built it for the inventor. And it took him like 2 years to build it. And just really fascinating.
Super cool.
You peeing again?
It's raining. It's raining outside.
Wow.
It's a bit soggy. Rain on a tin roof. Yep. Oh, thanks. Shout out to Eric from Clear Irons for reaching out after the last episode about my countersink gauging problem. He sent through video explanations and pictures of a countersink gauge specifically, which he purchased, and I think they're often custom made to suit the chamfer you're chasing.
Yeah.
And it's linked there to where he got it, but it kind of looks like a little bomb, actually, a little bomb shape with a pointy bottom, and you like with a dial indicator on top, and you like push it and kind of clicks into the hole, and it takes a measurement as a way of spot checking chamfers on holes. So yeah, it's possible. There's off-the-shelf hardware. It's quite expensive to purchase.
For you said it was
to suit your hole,
35 mil was your hole size?
I don't know. No. My hole size is about 22 mil, 24 mil to the top of the chamfer.
Oh, so you can use the 0 to 1 then, if you were buying these.
Yeah.
Which is by far not the most expensive one because they get pricey. There's a 2 to 3 one that's $1,300. Oh, it keeps going. Sorry, $1,700 for a 3 to 4.
I think I'll stick with my little 3D printed solution for now, given that we're just machining primitive plywood. And yeah, but no, cool to see that there is something out there that does that job.
Does he also mention in the book? Was it the book that we're talking about how you can't machine wood precisely?
Yeah, I was a little bit offended at that. I was like, come on.
Do you even know?
Wood just got put under a bus right at the start of the book.
It was very British too. It was like an underhanded and wood you just can't even really make precise.
Goodbye.
Give up. What's Suno?
Suno is how I made the songs last week.
Oh, which were great, by the way.
So I hadn't played with Suno before. I heard, so there's Suno and what's the other one we've used? Udio.
Mm-hmm.
2 AI music generation platforms, and there was a new version of Suno that had just come out, V4, and I heard about it and I was like, oh, let's give it I was editing last week's podcast, which we were both quite tired and low energy on, and as I was starting the edit I was like, oh, this episode's going to need a little bit of pizzazz. I was like, let's make some tracks.
Broadway.
Turn it into a musical number. Anyway, so I spun up Suno V4, and just on a free account, I think he had a single shot at a V4 model, like otherwise you had to use the older one, which was nearly not as good. But I think they've made a real point in this one of making like vocals and voices much clearer, because I think that's been a lot of the issue with like
really
previously
amazing.
Generated stuff we've done, is like the vocals just aren't that crispy and it can be a little bit hard to hear what the lyrics are and stuff. Whereas this was
Mhm.
like, whoa, sheesh, nailed it.
It was
yeah,
really,
pretty
really
impressive.
good. How much of the lyrics did you come up with?
Zero.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I input
Puffer jacket,
what
of
did I
course.
Yeah, I put in something about the puffer jacket and us, Jem and Justin both being tired.
Hmm.
And that
Mhm.
was about it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's wild.
Pretty wild. But generally, the bots have been frustrating me this week. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, I don't know whether it's the time of year or what's going on, but they've been particularly lazy.
I've had similar feelings.
I've just had a lot of refusals, a lot of lazy outputs.
Yes.
And at one point during the week, I got quite frustrated with it. It's like, what is going on? I need to do something about this. Maybe my system prompts are crap. Maybe I'm the lazy one. I'm just not prompting it well enough to get results. And so I was like, I need to sort of reverse engineer this. I'll make a bot that its sole job is to write system prompts, and then I'll use that bot to rewrite system prompts. I made a prompt designer, and so then I use that prompt designer to rewrite the system prompts for the bot I use for responding to emails, because that was one of the ones I was getting increasingly frustrated with. It's kind of my most used bot. And I rewrote the system prompt and sort of I briefed it on what the challenges were, and then I used this prompt design agent to write a new prompt, and it was immediately better. I was like, oh, great, I'm getting good results now. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's such a moving feast, I suppose, this whole field of tech. It's not surprising that, previous, whatever the factors are, whether it's sort of previous prompting techniques become redundant or just, I don't know what's going on, but it makes sense that things are moving and changing.
I kept having the problem, the common problem, which I feel like it's been better. And I'm wondering if they have a slider where they're allow more subscription use of tokens or something where, I think it was yesterday. It was just everything I did. It kept telling me the same answer and over again. I would say, you've messed this up. And it would just say, okay, I'm so sorry about that. It would just give me the same thing repeatedly, not change any of it. And I was like, what? This isn't working at all. And so I'd start over again, and it kept doing that.
Happening?
GPT.
Yeah. Are you still paying for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my Pro GPT is elapsed at the moment, and its refusals are wild. Just pretty much won't do anything for me except the occasional little task.
That's what's been frustrating. If you had all the money, could you just could you get the most amazing answers out? Just crazy. Because I keep having this situation where I'm I want to throw a bunch of data at it. I was actually trying to find all the books that we had talked about and somebody had asked message, oh, do you have a list of all the old books in the book club? And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure we do. And so I downloaded our podcast list from Airtable, the episodes, and I was like, I'll throw this in GPT and just have it give me a list of all the books. And it was just an absolute disaster. It wouldn't filter out things properly. It was telling me the one it really pissed me off was it kept telling me that MacBook, we wrote MacBook M1 whatever was a book. And I was like, are you serious? You mean the world's most popular laptop? You don't know what that is? I don't know. Yeah, I've been pretty frustrated too. And so I was trying out Quinn, and it just, didn't feel like much was working this week.
No.
Either.
But strange. Don't know what's going on. Well, ChatGPT is about to turn 2. I think its birthday today or something.
It's drunk already.
It's had too many shandies. I did, speaking of which, I tried to send you a Thanksgiving message yesterday. But I tried to get the advanced voice mode drunk and then record it and send you a message, but I ran out of tokens just as it was getting fun.
Because that makes more sense. They were on the free version. It's how did you run out? Okay.
I had the desktop app running and the phone app both on advanced voice, and I was getting them to talk to each other. But one of them was the drunk Australian, and one was like the whatever Californian accent. And I was trying to wind them up, like inject little moments and wind them up, and then get
Did you hear what they said about you?
particularly unhinged audio message to send you, but failed. Sorry. I'll try again next month.
Yeah. That's I keep seeing more and more of these. It's the same kind of like early on we had a lot of this like, you'll never believe the app I made $10,000 in a weekend on making it with this plugin for GPT. And I keep seeing like a new version of that, which is like kind of the same thing, maybe a little less bombastic. There's just like endless startups that are spinoffs of LLMs that will let you develop an app by coding and has some kind of like better bent on certain ones. It just kind of seems endless. And the comments are all like, why would you go get an engineering degree anymore? You know, it's like because they forget things and don't finish what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much chatter on Reddit, like in the AI LLM channels about that sort of stuff. Endless chatter about those sorts of
Those are all
AI
bots in there anyway.
Startups. So, are they? Oh, that makes sense. I always wondered.
Did you see that
People.
Reddit had its first profitable year like ever because of selling its data for LLMs? Makes sense.
Oh dear, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, fire out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what are you getting serious about? How and what do you want to use robots? You wrote, I want to get serious about robots.
Yeah, that was a midnight text to the podcast show notes. So, what month is it? We're
And
8 or 9 months into post-business downsize, and things are running super efficiently with a small team. And we've made some really good progress on like reducing unpleasant labor in certain components, like the feet and caps for kit parts that we make hundreds of at a time.
Yep.
Were previously being hand sanded and then put in a fixture for spraying. It was all quite labor intensive. And now like we've had massive reduction in labor in those components by abrasive tumbling in walnut husks.
Still doing
To
that.
sand them. Yep. It works beautifully. And then bulk dipping in the hot wax tank. And so like plus the pencil sharpeners are obviously just printing them, chopping them out. So like it's almost a hands-off sort of component other than like changing a bucket of parts from one machine to the next. It's a pretty hands-off process, which is amazing. So that's been awesome and a really good example of the sort of in-house efficiency making improvements. And then we've had our sort of staff review meetings for the first time this week since post-downsize. And we've just done, quick, hour-long informal chat, one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really nice to just sort of check in and debrief and talk about how the year's going and how the downsize restructure has gone. And something that's come up is like, there's basically Ben and Ro on the floor are doing all the grunt work in terms of like just bulk sanding of shelves and components and stuff, like all the edge sanding for all the kit parts and stuff. And I always just like wince a little bit when I see like a huge dolly full of parts that, Ben or Rowan are like just working through with the orbital sander.
Yes.
And like, it's kind of, I think, next on my radar in terms of things to solve. It's like, cool, how do we reduce like just this repetitive motion, fairly unpleasant task when you've got heaps of it to do.
Right.
And yeah, one way to do that would be with a cobot, I think, of something, put a sander on an arm, because you got to sand these bevels. And there's radiuses involved and a bevel that chases around a radius and getting that. You can't just push it through an edge sander that doesn't only does so much. In
It's
terms of
always
helping.
this is the same with our iMac bases. That corner, right? You could
Corners.
pop it up, but then you get flats, and it's like
you get flats.
I always wonder how well and how like big of a robot you'd have to get to keep that rigid. You know, like
I know.
I don't know. I wish there was like more
Potentially pretty
like
chunky.
My friend's actually looking into being a integrator for potentially a UR or Fanuc, and I'm very excited about that because he's local and we talk all the time. And I wish there was easier ways to just try out robots, you know, like without having to drop 50 grand on something, and then it's not like there's like a refund policy probably to a lot of that. It's like, well, no, you bought the robot, it's dirty now.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Little demo units to fiddle with. But yeah, I don't know whether an arm is the solution or whether we try and find like something that we can put on the spindle with a CNC and like a tool change to a sanding head, you know, after it's machined the chamfer. You know, all the parts are sitting there on the bed, held down by vacuum. If we could come in with a sanding operation at that point
Like
and do not all the work, but sanding the bevel at least.
like a shaped sander head.
That's the thing. It's going to have such a small surface area to be able to, you know, fit on the CNC at that angle. The amount of just like abrasive surface area is going to be pretty small. And I'm making a poor assumption and sort of ruling something out too quickly, but like I feel like it's going to be such a small amount of abrasive that's just going to clog after a sheet or a couple of sheets. I don't know, but maybe that's okay. Something to ponder, research.
Get rid of the chamfer.
Well, yeah, could do that too. There's definitely like CNC, you know, sanding tooling out there in the world, particularly for sort of larger 5-axis machines where you've got more tool capacity, bigger tool diameter capacity, much bigger than what we can throw. But there's cool little flap wheels and stuff.
Tools today, they've come out with this $440 sanding attachment.
For a CNC.
Mm-hmm. And previous, I knew of some that were like $1,500 plus.
Right,
So this seems particularly cost effective. And I've seen it in kind of action. People at Shop Savers have them. And
yeah, okay.
I don't really have a use myself. Obviously, it's not going to help you with bevels, but pretty cheap comparatively.
Yeah, it's a natural oscillating head. Yeah. That's smart. Yeah, like something like that, just with the preformed bevel, I think. You know, a conical sort of version of that would potentially do the job.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. Something to ponder.
Yeah.
Because we have excess spindle time. That's the thing. Like, we've got 2 flatbed CNCs and we've got heaps of capacity in runtime as it stands. So it wouldn't really matter if we increase cycle time.
Right.
You know, stock components while they're on the machine. For the machine to do it.
Can you put a cobot on the router?
It's climbing over the gantry.
It's a little ride along buddy. Just got a little arm
cute.
sticking out.
Flapping its wings.
Are you aware of the guy? He's like, I think he's just become the world's largest streamer, Kai Cenat. I think I don't know. It's probably not how you say his name. He keeps coming up on my feeds, probably in a much younger demographic than us, but he keeps having on really famous people on his streams, like, you know, celebrities and basketball players. And he bought one of these like white robots that are like a cobot almost, but a robot. And I keep thinking it's like the coolest stupid video of him trying to.
Oh, like an actual humanoid.
Yes.
Sort of.
I'm explaining this horribly. Yeah, you got to watch this video. It's trying to brush his teeth in this video that I'm It kind of looks fake, honestly. Like all
Is
these,
it a
all the
person in a
ones.
suit?
Yeah, right. It's like all the freaking Tesla ones that they just realized immediately that it's like people controlling them remotely.
Cool. Check it out.
Yeah.
All I want is one of your shop Roombas, to pick up table tennis balls for me in the office, because I ordered another 120 balls the other day and it's just a mess.
Yeah.
I was tripping over 'em.
Pretty slow. Yeah.
Roomba with a snowplow that just drives around the office and picks up table tennis balls.
Yeah, you just needed to have like a little scoop that every 4 seconds it dumps into a thing. I've tried to put my son on top of the Roomba and like hold him, and it really bogs down.
Does it?
Doesn't like the weight.
You need that big Makita one.
Yeah. Honestly, I have questions about the one we have now, and it's had issues, but nothing that like we've never had to like repair it. The wheel is kind of wearing out, and I've needed to buy a new replacement. But like, twice a week we might have to like pull something out of its wheel or like. But man, it's been like going on 2 years, and it was cleaning this morning, like just fine. It's just works like continuously. And people are always like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, honestly, it's like 10 times better than I expected it to be for it being a residential robot or a little Roomba for a shop. And we are pretty clean, but like, it's just pretty wild.
Yeah,
I had to put an air tag on him because every once in a while we lose him and I can't find him. Like he'll be like under something, or like he can get all the way underneath a mill, and that gets pretty tough to get back out, and it's hard to like know where that's at. So the air tag's been pretty helpful. Like it's outside once in a while.
It's outside, yes. Wandering off. Amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a series of products we're hoping to, like I mentioned, we have some fixturing things, and we're rounding the corner on getting them done. And I'm like, I guess my question is, do you think it's just worth putting them out at early December, or just to wait till like mid-January at this point? Like, are they just going to get lost?
I don't know. What's the harm in having them out?
Not much.
Like, people will discover them when they discover them, right?
Right.
It's not like either of us are in a position to build sort of much of a hype cycle around a launch. I don't know.
Just like Kickstarter my clamps.
You've teased one of your clamps, and yeah, like I'd buy them in mid-December for sure, because they're exciting. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm glad that
you know me. I just put stuff out in the world.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's the best solution.
Right. Ricky spent half a day really trying to dial in this, like, I still don't know what it's called, this powdery spray that you get from Omtech, the laser manufacturer that I'm sure that it's white label and it's from, everybody has this, but it's like a $30 can of spray that you put on, and it allows you to CO2 laser engrave on, specifically this was stainless steel. So I 3D printed a little fixture to keep them flat where we wanted to laser them.
Nice.
And it took them 3 different tests from where we were kind of powder coat removing engraving previously. And I think it's mostly just that our laser is cheap and not really that great at engraving. So we have to like, it's kind of similar to 3D printing and CNC machines. You go slower, you get better results, basically. So the slower we make that head go back and forth, the cleaner the cut ends up being. But I'm pretty impressed at, like, in my mind, that thing's great for like cutting up to 5-6 millimeter, non-super dense fibrous materials or acrylic, so that it can pull off engraving stainless steel. I'm pretty stoked about, because that kind of like opened up the last detail of that product for me. Yeah, it's nice. Nice to finally
Yeah.
have like a process to go from we have an idea to like it didn't take us 2 months to get it out of that machine where we were originally, which is just so silly because it's such a simple machine, but it just never felt very accurate before.
It looks really good. The one you sent me and the
Yeah.
messages looked pretty tasty.
Yeah. I think that was the first one, and maybe I did send you the good one. Yeah.
What are you doing about your MailChimp problem?
I
Anything?
dumped MailChimp for the CNC
you dumped
business, but Knack has just been fairly on hold, and we sell calendars. We have a big rush of orders November through January, and I did put them out, and we're doing kind of like a
Saw
a
that.
mini Kickstarter, I would say, on our own, which is basically just like I call it like a commit to make. And so we need a certain amount to, I think we're over halfway and halfway through the little campaign. I'll put a link, but it might be over by then. I'm pretty sure we're going to do them at this point. We have enough orders and interest that I think it'll make sense. And I'm not just losing a bunch of money. Knack, I still, just because I don't use it enough, still on the free MailChimp plan, but it seems that's going to keep getting smaller and smaller in terms of like they're going to keep crunching it to like less contact capacity, less sends of emails. And so for this other project, I had picked MailerLite, and apparently that's also been bought by like potentially private equity and going to get crunched down. So I'm not just trying to pick always like the free options of everything, but it's always like, well, I'm going to start there. And as we need more, I want to have picked something that's not extraordinarily expensive. And MailChimp has definitely turned into that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
CNC business,
Yeah,
we use a thing called Flowdesk, which you used. I think you found it.
I did.
And it's been great.
Yeah, it was great. I
Okay.
dropped it at the start of the year. Well, I dropped it with the downsides just for expense. I think it's pretty well priced, but it was, as I was running through the, $20,000 worth of subscriptions, I was just like,
Right.
cross tick. And that one got across against it. And we've got such a small email list that we use so infrequently. I've just been using the inbuilt Shopify one, and I can make the emails kind of look the same as they looked out of Flowdesk. And I don't know, the analytics aren't as nice in Shopify, but I can send emails. So I do that.
I
It's been
think
okay.
where I want something external is simply because of the ease of creating some of the things that it does. I find that I kind of mess up the Shopify one pretty often, where I like want to make some nifty automation where like, if somebody buys this product, send them an email about this thing. And I always am like messing that up where it doesn't work. And so like Flowdesk is really great for that kind of stuff, where it has like workflows and forms. I use a lot of that for like, we have, the course content and stuff needs like automated emails and all that kind of
cool.
stuff. So it's beyond just Shopify, but like, Shopify is pretty decent for what it is, I guess.
Seems fun for my purposes. Yeah. Yeah, danke. Well,
We're doing this next week. When are you off for the
What's
year?
happening? Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll be here next week. Yeah.
Okay.
3 weeks left.
Oh.
I'll be off on the 19th of December. Yep.
I'm going to go get some stuff printing and
Cool banana.
I don't know what else. Go home.
Every week I see your little black photo booth behind you, and I think it's a compost tumbler. Every week.
It is.
Why does Justin have compost in the office?
That would be terrible.
Not ideal.
I did use my that thing's great. I should probably put it somewhere else, but like every time we put out like a new small product, I can just pop something in there, and it's almost like keeping the lighting set up permanently for your photo setting, right? Like big flash stuff, but it's just so small. So it works great for
It's a win.
things that are small that I could realistically use my phone, but I do set up the mirrorless for that usually. And then I edited a video on my phone in my hammock this week, and I was very very relaxed to the point where my legs started falling asleep because I was like kind of inverted. And Ricky came in and like didn't even break a smile that I was like laying in a hammock across our tiny office. And he asked me some question. And I was like, I'm getting up, I swear. I'm just going to lay here all day.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Oh, I might have cut you off.